Obviously, it's been a very eventful day three for India in the Commonwealth Games. I mean, there's been two gold medals that's come our way, but besides that as well, there's obviously a lot of sporting action, and you might not have had the time to be able to actually catch up with all of it. So, if you're looking forward to what exactly had happened in day three of the Commonwealth Games for India, this is the place for you to be because we're going to go through exactly what will happen. Now, obviously, weightlifting would be the biggest positive for India in the Commonwealth Games on day three because it brought India two gold medals. So obviously massive news there. That of course you in the beginning of the day you had Jeremy Ralinunga. He won the gold medal in the men's 67 kgs category, and remember that was in itself a pretty dramatic, massive win because he ended up getting injured during the second clean and jerk attempt. He ended up going on to win the medal anyway. And at that point, it was the second gold medal that India had won, which, of course, both so far until that point had come in weightlifting. There was also further good news to end the day. As you guys know, Achinta Shoeli won another gold medal for India in weightlifting, this time in the men's 73 kgs category. Now, he ended up obviously getting a games record in the snatch part, and his overall after the clean and jerk was also a games record, and thus India ended up clinching their third gold medal of the Commonwealth Games up until this point. But obviously, there was a bit of disappointment as well. As you would know, Poppy Hazarika ended up having a bit of a disappointing time in the women's 59 kg weightlifting final. She only managed a seventh place finish, and those included a score of 81 in the snatch and 102 in clean and jerk, which weren't anywhere good enough to be keeping her in terms of medal contention. Interestingly, till this point, she's the only Indian who has competed in weightlifting to have not won a medal. Such has been the dominance of the weightlifters in the Commonwealth Games for India up until this point. But of course, there wasn't only good news if you're looking at it from, of course, weightlifting, because there was a women's T20I match between India and Pakistan, and obviously big new win there because India ended up getting quite the massive win. They ended up registering an 8-wicket victory in that match. Now, obviously, beating Pakistan is always special, but in this case, India's that win actually ended up keeping them alive in the race to making the semi-finals. Remember, they lost a very close match to Australia. It was heartbreaking in many ways because at one point, with Australia at 49 for 5 in the second innings, it seemed like India were in fact getting, that all-important win. Unfortunately, they ended up losing that in very close fashion, 3 wickets. But the good news is they rebounded with a bang and beat Pakistan by 8 wickets, dismissed them for 99 in the first innings, and then ended up chasing that down with quite a few overs to spare with 8 wickets in hand. So net run rate has gotten a massive boost. They're currently top of their group, and a win against Barbados in their final match will be enough to guarantee them a spot in the semi-finals. So obviously, fingers crossed that happens. If you're looking at sports beyond just cricket and weightlifting, there was plenty of action for you guys. Remember, in table tennis, India, if they took on Bangladesh in the men's team quarterfinal, and they also, had beaten Nigeria 3-0. So there's Harmeet Desai and Satyan who won the doubles in that first round, and then you had Sharat Kamal who won the singles, and then after that G Satyan, he also won the singles match, and it was easy sailing for India into the semi-finals of the men's team event. Now remember, men's team event, if they win their semi-final, they're guaranteed a medal because the loser of the final gets the silver. However, if they lose their semi, they'll still have to play the playoff for making it, of course, so, to be ensured of a medal in this particular event. Now, there's also good news from badminton because if you look at, there was the mixed team quarterfinals between India and South Africa today, and India ended up winning that tie 5-0. Very easy victory for them. It started off with Ashwini Punappa and Sumit Reddy. They beat the pair of Jared Elliott and Deidre Jordan pretty easily. Lakshya Sen then in the men's singles beat Kaden Kakora, and then in the women's singles, Akarshi Kashyap beat Johanita Schultz to seal the tie. Eventually, India would go on to win both the other two as well, the women's doubles and of course the mixed doubles. So they would end up going on to win the remaining two ties as well, and the matches, and they'd win the tie 5-0. they're through to the semi-finals. So another place where realistically you can be expecting a medal. One place where a medal wasn't necessarily expected was swimming, but there's been a pleasant surprise if you have to look at how India have done in the swimming department, because Srihari Nataraj, he earlier in the day he made it to the men's 50-meter backstroke semi-finals, and in fact his heat time was pretty decent because he clocked a time of 25.52 seconds in the sixth heat, and he ended up finishing second in that heat behind Scotland's Scott Gibson. Then, to make things better, in the semi final, which took place later on, much later on in the day, he qualified for the final by finishing fifth in the semis. So, massive news. And again, all of India will be cheering on Srihari Nataraj as he, undertakes a very hard quest of bringing India home a medal in swimming. So definitely, that's another area which was a pleasant surprise to witness. Another surprise, another one which wasn't so much of a surprise in that regard, was India's fortunes in the day in squash, because you had Joshna Chennappa. She was in action against Caitlin Watts and she won the match pretty easily. She won the match 11-8. 9-11, 11-4, and then 11-6. So Chinnappa is now through to the quarterfinals of the women's squash. So obviously that is another place where people would be having some hopes for, of course, a medal. And of course, unfortunately, one sport that absolutely really did not go India's way on day 3 was boxing. Because the day started well enough. Nikat Zareen, who you'd remember won a World Championships boxing gold medal earlier this year, she started off with a very, very dominant win and, set the tone for what should have been a good day for Indian boxing. Unfortunately, there were 3 other boxers in action today, all men's boxers, and all ended up on the losing side of things. First off, you had Shiva Thapa, who lost Reece Lynch of Scotland, and that was a bit of a split decision, but in the end it was the correct decision, because for the most part in the first round Thapa looked very good. In the second round he didn't quite look as good, so unfortunate there. But there were 2 other bouts in the day, because there was Sumit, who's going to be in action later on. Sumit ended up losing in a unanimous decision to Australia's Callum Peters, and that was a bit of an unfortunate one as well. So, you thought at that point that India might have actually ended up winning that particular bout, because it did seem likely at one point that, Sumit is a good, promising young boxer, and it might have seemed likely that, he could have actually ended up getting into the, next round as well. Unfortunately, that didn't quite happen. So that was also bad news in that regard. And obviously, a bit of a mixed day, but the good news is India ended up getting 2 gold medals. So that means that they're very much in and about there in terms of the medal tally. Because remember, medal tallies, it's the gold medals that count for most, because that's what is counted, of course, in the medal tally. So obviously it's been a very, very long day, by the way, in day 3 of the Commonwealth Games, and I've been very thankful that you guys have joined us for all of it. Do continue to show us all of your love. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, leave us a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and tap the bell icon so that you know every single time it is that we are going live or uploading a new video for you guys. Also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're across platforms. And last but not least, download the AajTak app to give you the best coverage of not just the Commonwealth Games, but sporting events happening around the world. I've been Shane Reyes. I'm very, very thankful you're joining us, and I'm bidding you good night for now, but I will be back with you guys tomorrow for more Commonwealth Games action. Bye-bye.